Hey, this is Stu, and of course I'm at the beautiful Purple Valley, and I'm here with Mark Robberds again. And we did a workshop here one of the afternoons on jumping through, jumping back, and the students thought, wow, this is brilliant, and we want it on record so we can refer to it, and of course you guys get to watch it too. So here we are, and that's what we're going to do today. And you've got lots of tips for us, haven't you?
Absolutely, Stu. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So how do you want to start?
I'll start from standing. Yeah.
Good. I'll just move out the way. You can shout at me if you need me.
Okay. So first things first, I just want to work on the scapular movement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so actually I'll turn the side on view for these guys. So if we bring the arms up here, I want to just be able to protract the scapula and then also retract. Okay, so protract and retract without the elbows bending. So often when people try to retract, they end up bending the elbows like this. And then with the protraction, without the shoulders coming up toward the ears. So the shoulders are going to stay pulled down toward the hips.
Yeah.
With the protraction, keep the shoulders depressed for retraction.
And the rest of your body is staying absolutely still, I can see.
Yeah, so I'm not, as I protract, I'm not rounding the upper back. And as I retract, I'm not arching the lower back. Okay, so just keeping the spine in neutral and just trying to isolate the movement here. We can do a similar thing with the thoracic spine by first, let's first looking at the pelvis. So the main two movements of the pelvis being that anterior tilt and posterior tilt. So it's important for everyone to understand how to do that with the knees straight. So tilting the pelvis forward, so the lumbar comes into extension, and then posterior tilt and bringing the lumbar spine into a slight flexion. And then we can bend the knees with that posterior tilt, and then we try to isolate the movement in the thoracic spine and without using the scapula. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we hug the shoulders like this, so we're in a flexion, and then I'm going to go to the side, so side flexion, and then rotating, then to thoracic extension, rotation left side, side flexion left side, and back to flexion.
And this is just to work on the mobility of that area whilst keeping the pelvis in the same position?
Yeah, just to understand how to isolate the thoracic spine. Right. You know, because everyone wants to talk about being able to open up their upper back and so on. Yeah. But often people don't really understand where the upper back is and how to move it independently of the rest else of the body.
Yeah, because exactly. I know if I was doing that now, my hips would be moving.
Yeah, so this one, people often, when they're doing it, they end up doing like this. Exactly. Okay. So those are just good drills to add in, like just to do before you start your practice. So just a few rounds, just anterior tilt, posterior tilt, and then this one, 5 circles, one direction, 5 circles, other direction, and then also just isolating the scapula. Oh, we didn't do that. So this shoulder circle. So we can do that as well. So I was doing, so there's protraction and retraction, then elevation and depression. So we can make a circle. Yeah. So forward, up, back, and down. And forward, up, back, and down.
Again, you're just keeping everything else the same.
Just keeping everything. Yeah. So you want to try and keep the head above the shoulders, so not sticking the head forward. And then you can go back the other way. So retract. When you retract, make sure that the elbow doesn't bend. Mm-hmm. And then elevate, protract, and depress. And so this is an important movement. As you do that depression, you see the lats engage. Yeah. And you can't really see it, but the pec minor.
Yeah, there's a bit of a chest there.
The pec minor will engage as well. So the pec minor and the lats are the main ones that cause that depression.
See, there is a valid reason for him not having his shirt on. We wanted him to be able to see all these muscles.
Exactly. And the funny thing about depression is it makes you happy. Exactly. Right? So instead of having your shoulders up around your ears all the time. So this is very important for when you start doing your high plank and so on, to be able to understand how to to press, to pull the shoulder toward the hips.
And just to clarify those movements, so as people, because when we say retraction and protraction, it's okay, but for the student that might not know the words, then...
Just think about forward is protraction and back is retraction.
And with the scapula moving towards the spine. As far as
so pulling back toward the spine and then moving forward away from the spine. Yeah.
So scapula is shoulder blade.
Yeah, the shoulder blade. Yeah. Okay, so if we just take our first vinyasa, ekam. I'll just face the camera for a moment. So we want to find a neutral spine. So pubic bone dropping down and back, coccyx going down and forward, and then stacking everything. So from the side view, you want to have your knees over the heels, hips over the knees, shoulders over the hips, and then lengthening up through the crown of the head. An important point for your samastitihi is the 2 points here of the sternum. So you want to think about how to do like flexion of the upper back, the sternum here going in.
So like the xiphoid process there, going back.
Yeah, and then to extend, that goes forward. So we can think about moving from those 2 points, either into extension or flexion of the thoracic spine.
Cool.
Okay, so when we go to our samastitihi, we want to get an external rotation of the upper arm. Okay, as we, in the old days when the world was not so crowded, you used to be able to take your arms out to the side, which was nice. You had this kind of a spiraling action. But nowadays, because of overpopulation, usually there's not so much space in a yoga class, so you have to take your arms forward. Both are good. So if you look from the side, then you want to just take the arms and create that spiraling action. And I won't say it's wrong to do this kind of thing in your sun salute, but in terms of building strength and stability for jump back, jump through, handstand, etc., I like to really emphasize just nothing else moving, just the shoulders.
Just the shoulders.
So you keep the chest, the ribs in as you take the arms up. And so I didn't arch the back, so I didn't go into this anterior tilt, nor did I shift the hips forward. Okay, so just keeping everything stable. And so then the next movement here, actually I'll show, it's a lot of moving around, is so when I took the arms up, actually the scapula went into a protraction. Okay, so if you look from behind, the scapula are going forward, not back.
So the edge of your scapula is here. And so as he comes forward, now the edge of your scapula is here. So it's moved from there across to here, and now it's moving back again towards the center line. So that's what you're thinking about of protraction, and then retraction is it coming back towards the center line. Nice.
Because sometimes I see students, when they take their arms up, they do this. They pull the shoulder blades back. Okay, and it blocks the scapula. Okay, so by allowing the scaps to protract, you create more freedom of movement.
And even that angle that you're going up there now, that 45-degree angle, it's sort of nicer than straight out the side.
You can do side, this 45 is nice, or front if you're in a crowded chala. So here, and then, so the next movement is from here to think about trying to reach up, so elevating. But because we're maintaining the external rotation and that protraction, the shoulders are not going to end up on the ears, okay, for now, okay. For handstands, we want to bring the shoulders all the way to the ears, okay, but for your sun salutations, you can just think about, creating that protraction, external rotation, and then reaching up, okay, towards ceiling, and then keeping the ribs in, stretch the throat, and look to the thumbs, okay. And then we exhale. Okay, so this one. So as we exhale, we want to move from the hips by hinging at the hips. So the hips are going to go backwards slightly. If you need to, bend the knees or do it with legs straight. Okay, so instead of just rounding the back, which is another approach, but that's a different method. Okay, so here, hips go back, lengthening through the crown of the head, and then just depending on your flexibility, whether you're going to bend the knees or straighten, keep the legs straight. What I'm looking for is to keep the chest and thighs touching, so not here.
Yep.
So if you need to, bend the knees as much as you need just to get the chest and thighs touching.
And where are you putting your hands and am I jumping ahead? Where your hands are relative to your feet?
So it's going to depend on flexibility, and so like usually my first one, I can't get my hands here and legs straight, so I might be more here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even be here. Okay, so the important thing is to try to get the shoulders in a good position as well. So when we're here, this is the best way to feel it is actually take the hands behind. And you see when I take the hands behind and bring the elbows in, so that's already the external rotation of the upper arm and protraction of the shoulder blades.
Yeah, so again, the edge of his shoulder blade is about there,
Whereas
as against back here somewhere.
a lot of the times, people a bit too excited to try and get their head to their knees, end up going like this. Okay, so we want to just elbows in and
draw it back.
Bring the shoulder blades.
You can really see the difference.
Yeah.
It all looks so bunched up there, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then, that's people are sitting at the computer all day like this.
Yeah.
And then they come to yoga class and do the same thing.
Again.
So we want to try and just create more space.
Yeah.
And not only that, this is a good pattern to create. It's going to translate to many other things. So scap spreading, elbows in.
Yeah.
So if you do it with the hands flat on the floor, you bring the elbows in and think about pressing your hands forward. At the same time, your elbows are going to go backwards. Okay, and then you'll see that creates the same positioning. So elbows in, hands pushing forward, elbows going back. Okay, instead of like this.
Yeah, cool.
So elbows in.
And the weight on your feet, is that relatively even or more towards the...
Yeah, so I want to bring the hips pretty much over the heels, so I'm not going to be back here. Yeah, so weight over the heels, balls of the feet, centered, over the midfoot. So that would be this way. And then Trini, different schools of thought. Some people say you should come all the way up here, work more on your spinal extension and lengthening the hamstrings more. Or others say, you need to keep the hands flat to the floor.
What do you do in your own practice?
It depends. Sometimes I like because there's more movement for the spine here if I come up under the fingertips compared to here. So it depends. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The important thing is that when you lift up to Trini, shoulders towards the hips.
Yeah.
And same here, shoulders toward the hips. And then we're trying to move this lower back inwards.
Into an extension.
Yeah, instead of being flexed here,
yeah.
Trying to move in here. Okay. And then what everyone's waiting for is the jump back. Okay, but before we do that, we're going to step back. Okay, so bring the hands forward for most people. Even if it's like your first sun salute of the morning, you probably don't want to jump back straight away. So
think about the first 4.
yeah, exactly. Maybe when you're younger you can do that, right?
Oi.
So before we step back, you want to set the shoulders first. So we protract and depress here. Going to step back to a high plank. Okay, and just going to take a moment here and just look at those shoulder movements and the pelvis pattern again. Yeah. So if we just first I'll start with the lumbar spine. So we just pull the shoulders to the hips just to stabilize. And so just looking at the lumbar, so we have that anterior tilt and then the posterior tilt. Okay, so just being able to isolate that movement. Like a lot of people do this cat-cow kind of thing, but they're moving the whole spine.
Yeah.
So we want to just be able to do it, just isolate the segments of the spine.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the thoracic area still goes up a little bit, but
yeah, because it's all connected, right?
Yeah. Not go up.
So once we understand that, then we'll just bring the pelvis back to a neutral position.
Are you actively drawing your shoulders back all the time that you're moving in the lumbar area?
This one, I'm just keeping that depression the whole time.
The whole time.
Okay, so I want to keep the lats engaged.
We can see them. That's them there.
Yeah.
So we can sort of see it working as he's drawing it back. Yeah.
And so that's also going to connect you into your Mula Bandha Uddiyana, because everything, the fascia, everything is connected, right? So you see that muscle connects right in down here, so it's going to trigger all those muscles to work. So then we isolate the T-spine, thoracic spine, so just working on the flexion, like angry cat, and then trying to go into the thoracic extension without just collapsing or bending the elbows, and without letting the lower back bend like that. So this is pretty hard to do this, actually, to try to just isolate the thoracic spine into extension.
Yeah.
What you need to think about is, again, that point, the bottom of the sternum there.
Yeah. That's where the ribs start to flare apart.
Yeah, so here, just trying to push, like if you had your thumb here, you're trying to push against it. Okay? And so just figuring out how to get that. And then we work on the movement of the scapula. So retraction and protraction.
Yeah.
Retraction. So shoulder blades pulling together. As you pull them together, don't let them come up to the ears. So still depressing, shoulder blades together. Protracting. And this, what I notice a lot, is when people protract, they end up also elevating. So we want to keep the depression as we protract. You'll notice my spine is moving up and down a little bit as I'm going. I'm trying not to go like this through the spine. I'm more or less trying to keep the spine in neutral and just the scapula.
The shoulder blades. Yeah.
And so then from there, we can take.
And just breath, does it matter with the breath on that?
On those ones, you can just breathe naturally.
Breathe naturally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we go to high plank. Okay, so in the high plank, we're going to, again, figure out those patterns. So anterior tilt, posterior tilt.
Yeah.
Anterior, posterior. I want you to keep the posterior tilt, and then you can try those scap push-ups. So protraction and retraction. Protraction, retraction. And then you're going to hold the protraction and depression. Okay? Without overarching the upper back.
Yeah, because that looks just nasty as well. I see that a lot of the time. People have heard about this protraction, and it just lands up at a nasty hyperkyphotic spine.
Angry cat.
Yeah, the whole way.
Even I used to do a lot of that angry cat,
Yeah.
but now I've kind of realized, okay, that's you want to try just to isolate more through the scapula.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so you're there, and then we go to chaturanga. So before you go to chaturanga, make sure that you create an external rotation. Okay, so it's like you're trying to twist your hands away from each other.
Are you still rolling in the lower arm, or are you letting this roll out too? Looks like that's rolling out.
I'm going to let it roll out, because as I lower down to chaturanga, I want my elbows to go backwards. Okay, so if I block that movement and work there, then as I go down, the elbows are going to go out.
Okay, so you're letting it all roll from the...
So we're here, externally rotate, and then start to lower down. Okay, and that's actually doing it on the knees is a pretty honest way to do it. So here, elbows in, so as we lower down, try not to let the hips change position, the ribs in.
And there your arms are just brushing your sides, aren't they? They're not jammed up against them, and they're not coming away
I'm
too
not
far.
bringing the elbows in here.
To rest on.
Yeah, sometimes I see people do that. They've heard, elbows in, so they balance like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not letting
going them out.
Letting the elbows go out.
Okay.
You can let the elbows go out a little, but not like flaring out too much.
And as you're going down, are you keeping that rotational energy in the hands?
Yeah, like that, and then really focusing on the depression. Yeah, so keeping the shoulders down.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it protracted, or you can bring into retraction. Okay, so they're two different techniques.
Okay, maybe for different body types.
Yeah, and different strength requirements. Like for if you're learning how to do a planche, you know what that is?
That's like the forward balancing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you show us? Planche.
Yeah, so a planche, I can't do a planche, but basically in yoga we do we call it lolasana. So this is lolasana.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah.
A planche is doing the same
with
thing,
straight
but
legs.
with your legs back. Yeah.
A different world altogether.
Hey! And for that, you need full protraction.
Yeah.
So doing protracted push-ups is a way to train that movement.
To get into there.
Yeah.
But for the most of us,
we can do it with you can retract, pull the shoulder blades together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so as you go down, that high plank, shoulders down, ribs in, tailbone tucked a little, and then come in. Yeah. Okay, so I I prefer the head in neutral position, just looking down at the mat.
Not like that.
Okay, not with the chin forward, just personal preference. Reason being,
get a nice line through the head.
Yeah, like if you're like this connects your anterior chain from the pelvic floor up. Okay, so it keeps all your abdominal muscles engaged. As soon as you do this, usually what happens is the lumbar goes into extension like this, and you lose that connection.
And if you were standing, you wouldn't be standing like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you're standing, you say chaturanga is something like this. Yeah. It's not like this. But, that's just, that's what I like to teach.
We like to nitpick here.
Yes, exactly. Just trying to take everyone to the next level. Okay, so, come in.
Cool.
And then, so when we go to the upward dog, I'm just going to, actually, even I like to do upward dog like this these days. But
any reason?
Just because...
Still with the knees off the floor.
One reason is because if I like to do my chaturanga more like this, with the elbows over.
Over the wrists.
Okay,
so don't send them back.
Then to get from there, you end up either too far forward, or you have to make some adjustment, pushing back first before you roll over. Yeah. So just to stop from having to do that, and work like this. Also, I feel like I can lift my legs higher up.
When you're on your toes, but you're still pressing the heels back.
Yeah. Standing this way. But that's another subject.
And on the way down, a lot of people tend to poke their ass in the air because it makes it a little easier, don't they? So not to
go into chaturanga.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
so not confuse that tuck with that overemphasis of the bum in the air. Because when you're tucking is one way, and that's going completely opposite way.
Yeah, so hips are going down towards the floor.
Yeah, not the other way.
Ribs are coming up away from the floor, and hips are going down toward the floor. Knees are lifting away from the floor.
Yeah.
So we go down, and then we'll do it that way. And then, so for your upward dog, you want to depress the scapula as you retract. A lot of people, when they retract, end up elevating, so they end up sinking like this, thinking that they're bending their upper back more.
But they're just tilting their head.
Just tilting their head.
Yeah.
Okay, so that same, hello doggy. So that same point here.
Yeah.
So if you imagine you're pushing forward there.
Yeah.
So that's what it should. The upward dog should feel something like this.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. If you're kind of getting that external rotation through the arm, shoulders down, retracted, and then focusing on this point here, pushing forward and up.
Yeah.
Okay, so show that from the back view. So you have that external rotation of the upper arm, and then scapula down, retracted, and then that point is pushing forward and up. Okay, so you can see
into a massive hollow here.
Yeah, so up here, right?
Yeah.
So that's where we're trying to get, rather than just
moving up.
Moving the lower back and the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we try to create that same feeling in the upward dog. So shoulders depressed, retracted. We have the external rotation, but you want to ground here through the thumb and first two fingers, so the counter rotation, and then that point at the bottom of the sternum going forward and up. And then as you take, you can either just keep the head more in a neutral or take the head back. Okay, and then coming out of it, either go back through that high plank and roll back if you want to release your lower back, or if you want to try to increase your back bending, then imagine your tailbone and the crown of the head creating a circle towards each other. Yeah, and so then we come to the downward dog. Okay, so, I'll use, if I want to lengthen my lower back or even prepare for leg behind the head, then I'll go back through the high plank, because that's going to activate my core and start to stretch the lower back.
And give more strength.
Yeah, and so that will be like a counter pose for back bends and a preparation for leg behind the head. Or if I want to start getting my back warmed up for back bending, then I'll use that other
version
where I come back like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So then it gets us to the downward dog. So
we're ready to jump through.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Oh, come on.
We're almost there, Stewie. you gotta pay to play.
Pay to play, yeah.
All right, so look at that puppy. Okay, so scaps again. So protraction.
Yeah.
And elevation. Okay, we can also retract and depress. So protract, elevate, retract, depress.
Yeah.
So
again, it's just this movement, it's just this area that's moving. Everything else is staying the same.
Yeah, and then we can go back the other way. Depress, retract, elevate, protract, depress, retract, elevate, depress. And we want to try and bring that into our downward dog. So in the downward dog, we're going to protract and elevate. Okay, so a lot of people get confused. They're always told shoulders away from the ears.
Yeah.
So they end up depressing. So when you're depressing, it's a pulling movement. Okay, so if I was here like this, to depress, I'm going to pull.
Pull, yeah.
Okay. So you lose that connection to the floor. Okay, we want to push, but
we still
first,
want to hunch up.
Yes. So first, protract, externally rotate the upper arm, and then elevate.
So we can see from that camera angle that you've still got nice space in here. Yeah, it hasn't all just bunched up around the neck.
It's not like this. Yeah. So when you go into I actually like to go into the downward dog, creating that shape first in a kneeling position. So protract and elevate, and then just lift the knees a little bit off the floor.
Yeah.
Feeling contact between the knees and the thighs and the ribs, and then start to straighten the legs, keeping that contact, and without losing the shoulder position.
Yeah, so it's staying the same, staying open the whole way. Yeah.
And there's still that pushing, still spreading as I start to straighten the legs. Okay.
Cool.
So for now, just trying to find a straight line from the hand through the hip.
And for those people that are not going to be able to straighten their legs because of their hamstrings,
then just do it with knees bent.
Keep the knees bent.
Yeah.
More to get that straight line from the hips is more important than straightening the legs.
Yeah, so we can just, this is a good starting point, and then start to work just like this. Okay. Even like really flexible people love to do it like this.
Go through too much.
Yeah, and which is fine, but you kind of lose that understanding of how to use the floor and transfer that energy from the floor out through the hips.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the line gets broken here.
It collapses, yeah.
So we want to just be more pushing here. And then maybe you could bring the chin in and look towards the navel, but without losing that connection.
And with the hands, what are they doing?
Hands, you can, if you need to, if you can't understand the external rotation, one trick is to think about twisting the hands out. The same like as I did before I went down into Chaturanga. Yeah. So right hand turning clockwise, left hand turning counterclockwise, because your hands are stuck to the floor.
They're not going.
You're pressing here and here,
yeah.
especially. I mean, you're pressing the whole hand, but especially there. Then what happens is the shoulders start to move. So here, twisting there.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah. Yeah, easy to see. Yeah, good.
Okay, and now the moment we've all been waiting for. Okay, so we're going to practice frog jumps. Have we done these?
No.
No? Okay. So we have to come into a squat, squatting position. If you can't squat the heels down, you can do it with the heels up. And we just bring the hands forward. And we just...
Am I in your way?
Yeah, a little bit. So just hop forward to start with. And then hop back. So when you hop forward, we want to get protraction and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure you come to a good squat each time. As you start to get more comfortable with the movement, then you start to try to find a little bit of balance.
Okay.
So jump up.
So you're going a little high, hips up first, and then thinking of them coming forwards.
Yep, and then we go back. So
hips, back.
And back. The shoulders now have to start coming over the fingertips to get the balance point. And
I saw then you're just doing that a little bit with your fingers, are you?
Yeah, just gripping. Yeah. A little bit of the spider grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not just completely splayed out and flat.
Yeah, so this is, this is the technique for that. So you press the heel of the hand and then the base of the knuckles, fingertips, and then you say like the first knuckle from the base of the knuckle bends. Yeah, and then do that.
Oh, but keep the,
Yeah, keep the rest of the hand connected. A lot of people end up doing this. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so that's a little...
Spider grip.
Spider grip.
Spider-Man.
And the next thing to be aware of in this one is that you're going to bring your knees towards your armpits as you jump. So knees in as you come down. A lot of people, when they do this, they end up kicking their heels towards their bum. So they
like a donkey.
kind of do this.
Yeah, boink. Yeah.
Like that. So they end up going.
Yeah.
And then they never find the point of balance. So it's more like a crunch. So I'm jumping in, trying to bring my ribs and thighs together. So jump forward, knees in.
Yeah. And there, it's how, you are working, but it's not a lot of effort, is it? Like when
not
people jump, it's like they're trying to leap over something like a dustbin or something. But actually, it's just more of a transfer of weight, isn't it? That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not having to work too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
There, knees to armpits.
And on the way back, same thing. Lean forward, knees to armpits,
and then back.
And push back. Okay, and then you can keep taking it further.
Okay.
Jumping higher up. If you want, toe tap, and then down. Okay, so again, it's that. It's I get the hips higher up, but I'm trying to keep my thighs to the ribs.
To the ribs. So they're on your ribs first, yeah.
And then I can come in like this.
Yeah. But again, you need pretty pliable
This
backs
you
of
need
the legs, don't
you
you?
need to have the flexibility for sure. And so that, that is takes you to the next point. So when you're in a downward dog, preparing to jump, so you're going to be doing it with your feet apart like this, and you're going to be landing with your feet together. But so first you bend, try to bring that contact,
rib cage to thighs,
and then jump, and do a little hop, like that, landing on the balls of the feet to start with. And then hands here, then straighten the legs, head up, inhale, and then exhale, fold forward. Then as you get a little stronger, a little more flexible, then you do the same thing, you jump, and start to land closer to the feet, and start to place the feet, more flat as you land, and you inhale, exhale, bend forward. So then eventually you're starting to work towards working with straighter legs and bringing the feet in closer to the hands each time, and so as you get stronger, as the hamstrings get more flexible, you're able to get closer in, so eventually you can jump
there.
Straight legs.
And is your gaze shifting at all while you're doing that jump? Or are you keeping it from the down dog? Where are you looking relative to where you're looking when you finish?
So technically you want to look, here, if that's where you want to land. So you'll be looking there.
And so you look at the same spot all the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you start getting this close in, the shoulder position starts to change a little bit. Okay, so when you start, you want to here, and then you actually need to elevate, because you've got to try to make your arms as long as possible.
To give you space for the legs?
Space for the legs. If you're down like this, you can see your arms not as long, so lengthen. So as you jump, shoulders have to come to the ears.
Press away.
Okay, so it's one of the only times in yoga where we actually want the shoulders to the ears. Yeah,
cool.
And so for the for the jump back, it's the reverse. So for example, we jump, so a beginner or someone is just learning is jumping here. When they jump back, they have to remember that there was this much difference. So they would be, say they were doing the sun salute inhale, the way exhale, whatever it is, Trini inhale. If they try to jump from here, they won't be able to. So they have to bring the hands forward first,
so the same
lift
distance.
the heels up, create that stability, shoulders down, push up, and then they jump back. Okay, so as you get closer in, you just remember what that distance is going to be. Because a lot of people, when they jump, if their hands are too close, they end up doing something like having to hop one foot at a time. We're
looking to land with that same tucked pelvis as when you did the chaturanga at the beginning.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I prefer most people to go to high plank first.
I was going to say, because
until they've developed enough control that they can also do it to chaturanga but keep the same alignment. Okay, so
because otherwise it's all a bit unstable, isn't it? If you just jump to the bottom with a big flop like a dead fish.
Absolutely. So I'll show you. The jump back, as you get more flexible, you're going to be able to either work, hands here or eventually hands right here. So for now, I'll just do it here. So we're going to. So this is where we need to elevate. Okay, so I have to round the back.
And you're protracting there too?
Yeah, protracting and elevating. As I lean forward, still with the gaze here. Then you can lift the heels up and lean into it. And jump back. Good high plank first, before you lower down all the way. Or, okay, so I'll do the hardest one now. So hands right next to the feet.
I thought you were going easy.
So here we are, we have to protract, and also you can see the spine is going to a big flexion now. So I'm having to round the back. And I'm trying to bring my thighs into my ribs. So it's Oh, I said I wasn't going to sit down, but I am.
No, you're good.
It's okay? Yeah. So basically, if you want to feel what that is, if you sit like this, bring the hands here, and try to do these pike leg lifts.
Looks hard. Well, you're making it
It
look
is
hard.
hard. Try it, Stu.
No, I would hate to interfere.
So
I'd have to take my shirt
that
off.
is like, you really feel exactly what's going on. It's the hip flexors
Yeah.
and your core having to...
So that's what you're
create that
saying is that
compression.
is what you're doing when you're getting ready to jump.
Yeah, and so when you're jumping forward and you're trying to bring your feet close to your hands,
Yeah,
that's what's
that
happening.
action.
Yeah, and when you're jumping back, before you lift, that's what you have to engage.
That's the same action. No wonder I
Yeah.
can't do it.
So do it now.
Do it now.
Yeah, so we're here. So I'm trying to, it's
There.
called a compression, right? So
Uh-huh.
my thighs and my ribs have got to
Squeeze them
compress.
together.
Shoulders to ears
Yeah,
and protract.
yeah. And now is when that action is coming, is it?
Yeah.
And then it's opening up.
And
Yeah.
so when I land, everything's switched on. So
Yeah.
I'm not collapsed in the shoulders.
Yeah.
My lower back's not collapsed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And so
Okay.
for the people that it's just like they feel that their arms are going to break before they can support their weight when they're in that position to actually jump back. Is there an
From Trini. So
yeah. Is there an easier, apart from obviously you've got to put
Stepping
your
back is
stepping back is
first
like
stage.
super easy,
Yeah.
but
and
then that stage between the two is like really hard, isn't
yeah,
it?
so just work on those progressions.
Just take your hands further forwards.
Yeah, so this would be like after stepping back. So stepping back, stage one.
Yeah,
Stage two would be this.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then, stage three, stage
Just
four.
gradually moving
like this,
in.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Jump through.
Jump through. Okay, so I'm going to remove the mat.
Okay.
Okay. So
Oh, something for
we're
me.
going to put the yoga mat business yoga mat companies out of business.
out of business. Get back to the ground.
Yeah, so we're going to come back to these frog jumps.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going to just practice just hopping to like a modified lolasana,
Okay.
like this.
Just real soft and gentle. Like that.
Really soft, exactly. And work on that compression, so knees in, ribs touching, knees and thighs and ribs touching. And then slide through, back to the squat.
Okay, so never quite put your butt down.
Yeah, never touching the butt.
Yeah.
So I'll show from the side. So here, just like a little hop.
So hence no mat, because you're going to get stuck otherwise.
Yeah,
aren't you?
exactly.
Yeah.
So here.
Maybe you could wear socks as well if you're a little bit.
Definitely. Socks is socks and wooden floor or tiles like this. Yeah, concrete. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So that's like stage one. Stage one is probably, you could say, stepping first.
Yeah. Then pulling.
And then sliding.
Okay.
And coming
Don't put
back
the bum down. Yeah.
to the
And then
squat.
go.
If you need be, use blocks.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about this yesterday, weren't we, off camera, about proportions and things. And it's no big deal. Use blocks if you need them, isn't it?
That's one thing I wish I had been,
Told in the early
that
days.
it was okay to use
when
blocks.
you had shorter arms.
Yeah, just because, like I was saying to you yesterday, even gymnasts, Olympic gymnasts, are not required to do what Ashtangis are required to do in terms of these jump throughs, right? They use parallettes, they use parallel bars, so they have more height to clear.
Yeah.
So
We also said as well that body proportions, that not everybody is designed to be able to jump through. So this is fun. So you shouldn't beat yourself up about it if you find it really difficult, and don't break your body trying to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And also, unless you're practicing the full movement, so that swing through, you won't actually be able to train the muscles to do it. So if you're having to always like stop and then sit down and take your feet, or you're having to roll forward like this, you're missing that part,
that key
that
bit.
swing thing through, right?
So better to use blocks in that case.
Use a block so you can actually train, and that's like where you actually get the extra strength, right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so then with our frog jumps, we want to then start working towards finding the balance point before we come back.
It looks so easy, doesn't it? It looks so easy. And everybody's watching this thinking, I can do that. It's like, just won't never go. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, when I teach this, a lot of people have breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they're jumping through, they finish the movement here.
Yeah, it's like such a drag.
And then they kind of take their hands off, and then they go like this. But by making them think they've got to get to the squat, they realize that it's like a swing.
Yeah.
And then they end up kind of having this breakthrough where they realize that that's the movement.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not that they're having to force and work like really strongly, you know. So then as you get more and more fancy, then you can start to try to go up.
Cross. Through.
And through.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's different trajectories. That would cut me out and tell me to come back later if I'm getting out of sync. But some people, like yourself, Kino, jump super high like that and come down real slow.
Yeah.
Other people, like I think Tim Feldman, different build.
Yes.
He prefers to stay lower and keep the whole thing coming through lower.
Yeah. Some people like I can't. If you like, I can't do that fast, low trajectory one.
Yeah.
My body's just not built for that.
Not built for that way, yeah.
Like I could do it if I lift my hands up.
Right.
Like if I do it like this, I can do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's what you mean, right?
That or
some people kind of,
they
stay low.
They stay much
with
lower,
a bit more speed.
Yeah, and come through,
Like this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Whereas if I try to do that with my hands flat, I always end up kind of doing...
You're getting caught on the way somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I have to get that height first.
Yeah. I think you engage, I mean, you could see it. You actually working on control and engagement if you go up like that.
Yeah.
Rather than just
the
flip
speed.
through.
Sometimes I wish I could do it with the speed because it saves a lot more energy.
I think it does, yeah. But then you're not engaging much,
it's
really,
not teaching you, like, for me, that's how I learned to do things like Karandavasana and so on, because I had to work so hard in my jump throughs and jump backs.
Yeah. Even the Bakasana is sometimes the same.
Bakasana is the same.
Lift and the jump to Bakasana.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Cool.
So jump back, you can use a similar technique. So you can just think about sliding. So just sliding one foot, then the other. And
back to squat.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Take the hands behind, cross the feet, slide, and back to a squat. As you jump forward, slide, and come back.
Nice.
So it's like you're using the floor. You're making it your friend.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah.
And it looks, I say feels, I'm not doing it, but it looks really fluid.
Yes.
And that's a nice way of thinking about it, isn't it? Like a fluid motion rather than...
Instead of having to work so hard all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can connect those two movements as you get stronger. So it'll be like jump up and then up.
And then up and back the other way.
And back. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's obviously starting to get a bit harder.
Yeah.
At that point. And
are you going to tell us about just breaking down that jump back as to if we want to do it?
To go to Chaturanga? Yeah. Okay, so as we were talking about yesterday, there's the straight arm, like going to a straight arm and then or going to bent.
So you could show us a straight arm, because what percentage of people are going to be able to do it? 1% of people,
not
I think, with a straight arm.
And
not too many.
A prerequisite for that anyway is to have a very good lolasana. Okay, so you need to be able to hold this position. That
position. Yeah. And you can lift to that from the ground, can't you?
Yes.
Or is it better to jump into it?
Yeah, so you can lift to it from the ground, feet crossed, to get into it, depress, protract, and then lift up.
Yeah.
You have to really try to work the elbows straight.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the jump back, to get to there, then you're going to keep hitting this battery.
The mic.
The mic, yeah. So, yeah, so here. So we try to get back to that point.
Yeah.
And then elbows in, head down, feet back.
So that was the easier version. That's the bent arm version. Or the straight arm.
No, that I went first to the straight arms,
Yeah.
and then went to... What happened?
Well, it's a bit half and half. I reckon you can do better than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think the bum needs to go higher.
Oh, even higher?
Yeah.
Okay. More fancy.
Yeah, they don't even need to bend at all, do they? Can you jump from there with the straight arms? With straight arms, jump back.
Yeah, but so you got to get to chaturanga. You have to bend your elbows, right?
Can you land with the straight arm?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, is that what you want me to do?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Go on
too.
then, let's see it.
Yeah. So.
I just could think of more and more difficult things for him to do.
Oh, this is another good little cheat that I like for the jump back. Is as a stage.
Yeah.
As you just lift here.
Yeah.
Then bring the feet already on
In.
top of the hands.
Okay.
So then you just lean forward and then lift it up.
Flip through. So that's a halfway stage. Yeah, okay. So that was what I thought you were going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So then there's one in between the two where the arms bend and you jump back. And then the one that most of us are going to do is the lift and then bend their
Swing.
elbows.
Yes, exactly.
So what stage do they bend at?
Okay, so yeah, let's see. As the feet, basically, once the feet go behind the hands,
Yeah.
then there's going to be that transition.
Okay.
Head forward,
Okay.
bend the elbows.
And where are you looking? So
Forward.
forwards and up, or forwards on the ground?
So again, I try not to do this.
that too
I'm going
much?
to keep my head in neutral the whole time. Okay, so lift up. See, I'm here.
Yeah.
Head down.
Yeah. Okay, so you're finishing with the head facing the floor,
Yeah.
not with the head facing forward.
So I
Okay.
want to try and use the head as a counterweight.
Counterweight.
So the head goes down and the hips are going to go back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Cool. Can we see that again?
Yeah.
In slow-mo.
And so really, this is where all that high plank to chaturanga, all that
Engagement.
sun salute, all that stuff is really just comes into play, because
Yeah.
as you jump back, you want to make sure that you've got that external rotation, shoulders are locking in.
Yeah.
Okay. So each time you land, you're landing in a solid, stable position.
Yeah.
Instead of, like I see a lot of people land
All
like
crunched
this
up.
all the time.
With the shoulder lower than the elbow as well. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
and up here,
Yeah.
and you start to get all these kind of problems through the
Yeah.
anterior
Yeah.
shoulder capsule, and you see a lot.
Good.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So in segments then, so just the slow time, this one, can you just tell us where you're looking and everything and what you're doing as you're going through it?
Yeah. So we want to try to drive up. I mean, technically, the first part of this movement should be
Be a lift.
it should be a lift.
I
Goes to.
I often lift first and then go
Yes.
back through.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great if you can do
to
that.
do that first.
Yeah, so lift up.
Yep. That made it harder for you, poor thing. And back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Cool. So again, it's the same sort of thing. This is hard stuff, isn't it?
This is hard stuff.
And
And even I don't do this the whole practice, it's like,
yeah.
if I do that every time, it's like you have to be an Olympic gymnast.
To do it.
So it's enough just to do a few each practice
Yeah.
like that. Obviously, if you start to build up the endurance and the conditioning, you can do it.
Yeah.
But
And what about where you place your hands? When you're getting ready to do it, do you place them forwards or you place them
place forward.
forwards?
Forward.
Yeah.
And then hips go forward and
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so hitting this mic every time. So hands are going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Okay.
back here.
Cool.
So here, lean forward.
Forwards.
Oh, that was better.
Yeah.
So here.
Yeah.
So the next stage, now I've got to bring my head down.
And back. Cool. And so
That
like
was in.
90% of people
Yeah.
get stuck
At
with the
that
toe
point.
tap, with the back,
Yeah.
and then they have to toe tap to jump back.
Yeah.
So how do you get from that to the whole way back?
So a good way is not using a mat. So
Okay.
yeah, so if we say that a lot of people get stuck
There.
here, right?
Yeah.
So a good way to practice is now to already get that external rotation, head in, and push.
Okay.
Push and slide back.
Push and slide.
Rather than a lot of people, when they get to here, they end up
hop. Yeah.
Jumping.
Okay. Yeah.
So that you lose, you're not going to ever build that movement if you do that.
Strength.
Okay, so I'll show you again. So you'll be here, so you're like, a lot of people getting stuck here.
Yeah.
And then bend the elbows, lean forward, and slide back.
Slide back. Nice.
That's it's a good exercise. I don't know, maybe you've done with Deepika. She showed that one.
Yes, I think she showed us some of those.
It's kind of like,
yeah.
I can't remember what it is now, but yeah, yes. So you're here, sliding.
Yeah.
So here.
We were doing that with the towel under our
Yeah, with the
feet
towel, exactly.
last year. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so you can, it's basically, that's the movement. You're here, and then slide to chaturanga.
I've seen some people do presses in that lalasana as well. Or is that a bit extreme?
You've seen me do it, right?
Maybe I've seen you do it, but I think, is that too extreme for most people? Do you need to be able to do that?
I mean, it's I like to make a joke of it, like, so people understand you've got straight arm lolasana and a bent arm lolasana, straight arm strength, bent arm strength.
Yeah.
So this is your straight arm lolasana and your bent arm.
Yeah.
And then you can go between
the two. But you don't need to be able to do that to be able to jump back.
No.
I don't think I could do that.
No, yeah. I mean, that's basically doing dips.
Yeah.
You know, so like on the bars, doing dips.
Yeah, but it seems so infinitely harder than dips for some reason.
Yeah, because you got all that body weight.
Yeah.
So, you don't need to do that.
No.
You know, it's like, use some more of the like counterweight.
Yeah.
So the head going forward, hips
and
going
rotation.
back.
Nice.
Yeah, head going down, hips going up, that kind of thing.
Cool. Do you want to just summarize the key points to remember? Because it's quite a few things that keep cropping up, isn't it, all the way through?
Yeah, so you've got the scapula movement, so the protraction. The main one for strength that we want is depression and protraction. Okay? When the arm's in this position.
Yeah.
When the arm goes overhead, we want protraction and elevation. Yeah, so just being able to understand depression and protraction, protraction and elevation. Okay, so like for your handstands or jump throughs, whatever.
Brilliant.
So that's one of the main ones. Then also the external rotation and internal rotation of the arms. So when we're here, just getting that external rotation for your chaturanga.
Yeah.
And then the pelvis.
So to the pelvis.
So being able to maintain, most of the time we want either a neutral or a posterior tilt. We don't want to go into this excessive anterior tilt.
Because a lot of people also, when they land, it's a little bit like a trampoline, isn't it? They've lost all their connection here at the
for sure, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we want to just keep the core engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think about bracing the core rather than sucking the belly in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like just keeping it all firm without like creating a hollow. Yeah,
without like sucking in. A lot of people just kind of suck in, but that doesn't actually create any tension or pressure through the abdominal area. It just it's just like doing an Uddiyana type movement, like Uddiyana Bandha movement. Yeah. Like just sucking your belly.
So instead just brace it. So can you show us a brace while you're there?
So when you brace, actually, like if you put your fingers in the side, you should feel like you're pushing the fingers out. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean stick your belly out either. So
it's not like
it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's still firming, but
Yeah. And even if you put your fingers here, should feel the fingers should be getting pushed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
rather
a little
drawing in.
Rather than trying to suck them inwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea behind all this stuff, because some people might say, oh Christ, just want to jump. But it's like, it teaches you to get the activation of the right bits at the right time, because it's all so complicated for the body that you just land up doing any old thing, don't you?
Yeah, so it's going to make the movements more efficient.
Yeah.
You want to get the way that all those elements are like it's like the vinyasa of the activations. Actually, yeah. The
Nice.
sequencing is probably
Is
the
the
better
key.
word.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sequencing of those activations,
Yeah.
and so that those patterns become very natural.
Yeah.
So that when you start doing more complex movements, you've already got those patterns very well
Because if you
established.
can't do it just standing, you're not going to be able to do it when you're moving, are you?
Yes.
So there's not a chance in hell.
And then when you start
Yeah.
doing more complicated movements, like trying to do a handstand, for example, if you don't understand how to activate your abdominal muscles or how to elevate your scapula, whatever,
Yeah.
you know, or how to control the pelvis.
That was my, so
And
this morning
yeah.
you were trying to get me to tuck my pelvis when in a handstand. It
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, it's so difficult to do. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
seem to do it.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
an open chain. Your feet are not connected, so it's harder
Everything
to...
is moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully we're
So-
going to pick you up to do a handstand ones too, so keep looking out
Yeah,
for that.
next week, hey?
Next week.
Asana, the workshop.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, good. Thanks
Yeah.
so much, Mark, and thanks for watching.
you.
I hope you really enjoy this. Loads of work to be doing. Cheers.
Sorry, there's a lot of information, guys, but just try to focus on one or two things and get those dialed in, and then keep revisiting the video, and then try to add more and more
Bit at a time.
understanding, and then
Nice.
that's always the way it is with learning. You
Yeah.
pick up one or two things, and then once you integrate that, then you get ready to move on to the next thing.
Cool. Brilliant.
All
Thanks,
right,
Mark.
thank you. Thanks, Gia.
Cheers.